You can't tell people enough that you have a podcast. If I have someone that's consistently pushing the same agenda over and over and over, I'm tired of looking at the same thing. So be sure to take on the marketing aspect of it and how to grow an audience quicker.
Most hosts never achieve the results they hoped for. They're falling short on listenership and monetization, meaning their message isn't being heard and their show ends up costing them money. This podcast was created to help you grow your listenership and make money while you're at it. Get ready to take notes. Here's your host, Adam Adams.
Let's see. You guys already have the podcast up.
We do. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to click on it. Mogul Mentality. Cool. 9 ratings. You published an episode 6 days ago. And how many have you done? How many total?
We're on
16 episodes?
20 will,
20?
20 will be posted on Wednesday.
Okay, 20 will be on Wednesday. Tomorrow. Cool.
Yep.
Makes me want to win. I feel like this will help me grow my business. Love positivity and realness of it. I love the positive attitudes and vibes. I love the real life perspective from dudes like me. Just listen to my first episode, Living Life by Design. Incredible, very insightful. Do you know these people that are giving you ratings and reviews? Are they friends of yours?
I would say a handful of them I know. I don't know all 9 of them.
Okay.
I think the 2 of us, we probably know the majority of them.
Okay, cool. And are you asking for ratings or reviews, or how is it happening? Just organic?
Yeah, I think just between social media posts, and then we've also been interviewed on other podcasts, and we'll kind of just bring up that we've got our own. We'll bring that. And so I've had a few people reach out and start listening because they've heard us on other podcasts.
Good.
So
Awesome. All right. And what's the goal with the podcast? How do you want it to serve you in what way?
Yeah, speaking for me, I would say wanting to grow our business, but then also wanting to start our own coaching and mastermind type group.
Okay.
We're still in the early baby step stages of that, but yeah, I would say at least very open-minded to what that might look like or how that might evolve. But I think that's probably the beginning stages. And I know Jesse and I have even had conversations about potentially partnering with other people, like their buy-in is maybe some equity in their business, depending on what they do. If it seems like a good fit, maybe their buy-in, some kind of partnership in their business as a potential option as well. But
okay. So one thing you might do is take equity in company that's already existing and then help to grow it so that the equity is worth more.
Correct.
And would these be real estate businesses or something else?
It could be real estate or potentially other stuff as well.
Okay. Jesse, what does Jesse do?
I do real estate as well.
Okay.
So real estate, I do have another podcast that my wife and I run, and we do coaching as well. So I'm a chapter ahead of where we want to take this podcast, but not by far.
Okay. So you've got another podcast. Will you give me the name of it and so I can look it up here?
Yeah. Matrimonial Merger.
Double M's all over the board.
Double M's. Yeah.
Not as good as triple A's, right?
Let's see. I'm in the wrong spot. There we go. All right. Matrimonial Merger comes right up. First one, Couple's Guide to Balancing Life and Business. Fusion Broadcasting. What's Fusion Broadcasting?
So it's we have the same speaker account that's running this one and Mogul Mentality. Instead of having it show up as the account of Fisco Real Estate, I just created a Fusion Broadcasting as a quick, make it sound a little more professional, I guess. That will eventually become the LLC, most likely, of other podcasts underneath us.
Okay. So you would have other podcasts underneath you as well?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How will that work?
I think along with the training, like Devin said, if we're taking businesses over within the equity, we would just help them scale and do the exact same things we're doing.
Okay.
Show them how to create a podcast and then put them under the umbrella so that all advertising would come through Fusion and just continue to capitalize more money that way.
Okay. Her name is Ambry?
Yes.
Okay. You can't hardly see it because the B is in her shoulder. And so you can't tell what letter it is. I can help you out with that just to make it so you don't have to, could have been anything, but trying to use my best eyes possible. And it looks like you're publishing every 7 days on this one.
Yes.
And 26 ratings. The last one was 2 months ago, 2 months and 5 days. Social media, real life after spending. Share great experience, love. All right. So with your coaching, it'll be for any business, Devin? Any type of business?
I don't know. I guess that's a good question. I would say we haven't really narrowed it down to we might exclude anyone, but we haven't had that conversation.
Okay. And on your current podcast that you guys do together, I'm going to listen to it with you.
Okay. I was going to say too, I guess another thing as well as like the coaching would probably be more primarily focused on the mindset versus the actual like functioning running of a business.
Okay. Best way to listen would probably be for me to share my computer's screen and sound and then click here.
I'm going to go ahead and mute so you don't have any feedback.
A mogul is
my end.
considered a person of great wealth, power, and influence. They just think differently. And if you'd like to become a mogul yourself, you need to think differently as well. You're listening to Mogul Mentality, hosted by Devin Hubbard and Jesse Fisco. As owners and operators of several successful businesses, their obsession with creating wealth and helping others win inspired them to show you exactly how you can enter mogul status and create a new level of wealth, influence, and power for yourselves. You want to be a mogul? This is your show. Here's your hosts, Devin and Jesse.
Hey, Mogul Nation. Welcome back to this.
A couple things, if you don't mind me just giving you a little bit of feedback. The intro's long, and I'd like to help you shorten it. The way that the volume of music is clearly behind the voice is a great thing, and most people miss that. They put the music too loud, and so kudos for whoever mixed this. The person who does the intro is doing an intro at energy level of 7, and the energy level of the music is a 7 plus. It's 5 is average and 10 is overboard. 10's too much. 5 is average. 4 is below average. It's boring. It's slow. It doesn't sound that good. It makes it sound like you're bored and that the topic is boring and that we shouldn't listen because you don't care. So we don't care. If it was that low, this guy's energy comes in at a 7. It's great. I love it. And the music's coming in at like a 7, 8, 9. The music's like really getting me to feel excited. And I think that's the energy you probably want. And then when you actually come in for the episode, you are 3 levels below. So you're coming in at a level 4, which is below average. And anything below a 6 is going to bore the audience. So you'll want to come in with a little bit more energy so that it's congruent with the music, so that it's congruent with the other person's energy, so that it's not like you were about to climax in whatever you want me to think, whatever you want to think, and then you just it goes away immediately. It's like build up, build up, build up, and then it's like, where did it go? What's happening? I'm not liking this. It doesn't feel comfortable. This isn't what I expected. And so the first 2 pieces of advice are, because the music being behind is great, shorten the intro and then match and mirror the intro. Let's keep listening. Oh, and shorten the intro, match and mirror the intro. And if the music is not your own original music, then I'd like to change it. I'd like to make sure that I don't care if you have the rights to this. That doesn't help anything. Audio branding doesn't mean that you go to Pepsi and ask them if you can have the rights to use their logo. There's no reason to take somebody else's branding, to take some music that somebody else could be using. So take somebody else's visual logo or the audio logo. And the audio brand just needs to be something that's yours and just yours, not just something that you have the rights to, not just something that you spent $20 so that you could be the 90th person to also use the same exact piece. You want to be the only. And so if this music is not original to you and this one podcast, then I would like to pour into you to just have a composer, and I can help you with that for a great price. Have a composer just create something that has the same feel, the same energy as the music that you have here.
This week's episode, Jesse, my friend, how are you?
Dude, doing really well. Thanks for the Mountain Dew.
You guys are a bit echoed. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't know. I'm curious if you have two microphones in the same room and you guys are kind of close to each other. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Okay.
Office that just isn't, I don't know. It could be the two mics close to each other and it's a smaller office that just could be echoey as well.
What kind of mics are you using?
We're using the Rodecaster Pro ones that come with it. So they're
Okay.
we have a Rodecaster Pro and they're the Rode mics that come with it.
Okay. So most of the Rode mics are dynamic. And so there's a good chance that these are dynamic. I'd have to see the exact one and we could look it up to verify.
They are dynamic, I can tell you that.
Okay. Well, I would just say that the way that it's probably some type of combination of the two things of the room that you're recording in, as Devin already mentioned, and how you use the mic. My suggestion is to turn the gain down a little and you get close to your own mic and farther away from the other person's mic. And you're also turning the gain down so it's only picking up what's right next to it. And you're not going to get oh, okay. I had a weird setting. So how does this sound to you guys right now?
It's okay.
It sounds very crisp and it sounds like you're using a microphone to the audio on your computer.
Okay.
Yeah, when it's up close, you can tell.
All right. So this is probably what I want you to sound like. I'm not using my headphones to double check. This is probably what I want you to sound like. And this is kind of what you currently sound like, although I don't think yours is as bad as this, but it's kind of like this compared to this, where you only really hear it. And so the things are, I'm basically putting it right next to my chin and then I'm turning the gain down to like 40%. So it's not picking up, it's not turned up to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%. It's at 40 right next to it. And if you have it like that, it probably will echo a little bit less. Let's just push play.
Yeah, the diet mount.
So you guys are kind of nonchalant. It's like, whatever, it's totally fine. Not a big deal here. I'm just casual. And I think that there's some benefit to having it like that, somewhat natural and approachable. So I'm not asking you to lose that approachable personality, but I am still asking you to kind of change the energy, whereas just come in at least to level 6. You both should be slightly above average. It shouldn't be over the top. It shouldn't be, welcome back to Mogul Mentality. This is Devin and I'm Adam, and I can't wait to help you out today. It doesn't have to be crazy. It just has to have some positive energy behind it, like that you think that what you're talking about today is important, that you think that what you're talking about could be life-changing to your listener, that you think that what you're talking about today is different from what they could get on any other podcast. And if that's not true, then you have to make it true. You have to have content that is unique. You have to feel like it's awesome. Don't make a podcast episode that is boring. Don't make a podcast episode that doesn't matter. And if it matters, show that it matters by having a little bit more enthusiasm behind both of your voices. And additionally, if one of you starts out, I think it was Devin who started this episode. If one of you starts out at like a level 3 or 4, the other person is going to match and mirror that on accident. So Devin's going to come out at a 3.5, and then Jesse can't come in at a 6 or he's going to sound weird. He doesn't want to outshine Devin. So without even thinking about it, Jesse's going to be boring too. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Mountain Dew.
Diet Mountain Dew. You all want to become close to my heart, just a Diet Mountain Dew, right?
It's a bit echoey. I don't know what's happening.
That's the fast track to your heart.
That's right. Just
it might be something in post-production as well. It might have something to do with a setting that you're using when you're creating the episode on top of what you record on the inside. It could be the room. It could be mic use. We might be able to correct it just by doing some of the things we already talked about. And then can you guys see my walls?
Yeah.
That can help also if you've got windows and a bare floor. I've got carpet on my floor. I've got these all over my walls. Some people, they put
our office is like 90% windows and a cement floor.
Okay. So you need a rug and you can actually cover up a couple of those windows with some of the sound resistant, or you could also just put a couple of pillows underneath your mouth. Put like something that's non-porous or is porous, is going to absorb the sound echoing, where windows are very non-porous and reverb, and your desk and your monitor and your cement floor and your drywall painted ceiling. If that's all that you have, then it's going to be a challenge to have a great recording. So I do suggest doing a little bit of that.
You can come in, right?
Yeah.
Keep me wired.
Yeah, man.
Well, here's one thing. Write this down, both of you. Jesse, you too. I know I can't see you, but you still have to write this down. And use it in both of your podcasts, Jesse, even the one with your matrimonious marriage or whatever the other double M was. Use it there. You think about hook, story, offer. Write down just that formula of hook, story, offer. I want both of you to use it every time you do a Facebook post. Devin, you know my Facebook posts are generally pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I use the hook, story, offer formula. The hook is to grab attention and get somebody excited. The story is just telling them whatever you want them to know. And the offer is having them have some type of call to action at the end. So I might say, there's a few people out there that say you can't make money podcasting. To them, I say, I just paid off a couple of rentals with money that I made solely from podcasting. And then I go into the story. That's the hook. That's to grab their attention. That's to get them to keep reading. And then I give the story. And I say something like, I've been podcasting for 6, 7, or 8 years, 5, 6, 7. I don't remember. Jesse's making fun of me, I'm sure already. I've been podcasting for a certain amount of time and I didn't always know how to make money through podcasting. But after some trial and error, I was able to pay off these couple of rentals with money that I'd made just from podcasting, which is really remarkable. I'm excited. And I just want to offer to help other people for free. All I want to do is coach you so that you can make money with your podcast. That's the story. And then the offer is, if you're interested in free coaching, just comment below and I'll add you to the list so that we can give you a free coaching call. So hook, story, offer. Now, when we talk about hook, story, offer for your podcast, it's not low energy. Hey, what's up, guys? How are you? How was your week, man? It's good to see you. What do you got going on? This is like potentially the story, potentially, but there's no hook. And you can't go story, hook, offer. There's no reason to go story and then hook and then offer. There's no reason to go offer and then story and then hook, or offer and then hook and then story. It has to be hook, story, offer. And what that means to you guys is every Facebook post, every podcast episode, every email that you write, grab the attention of the person that you want to help. So you think to yourself, who's our perfect avatar on a Mogul Mentality? Who's the perfect avatar? What do they do? What are they going through? How old are they? Do they have kids? What did they have for breakfast today? Where do they live in this world? What keeps them up at night? What are they trying to achieve? What's holding them back from achieving that? This is you basically knowing everything about your avatar. Once you know those things, then now you got to call them out. Your hook on the podcast is, what's up, guys? If you are an entrepreneur and you want to be able to save more money so that you have a higher NOI in your business, so you're basically making more profits from the little bit that you've put aside, this episode's really going to help you out. I think that we're going to give you 3 tips to making sure that not only can you grow your top line revenue, but most importantly, lower your expenses so that you can start making cash flow. Let's dive in. That's your hook. That's you giving a big promise to your listener. Instead of, hey, what's up, guys? How was your weekend? How was your week? What do you got going on? And people are like, what the hell are we listening to? What is happening? What am I going to get out of this? And they're already checking out. They're already checking out because there's no promise. They don't know what they're going to get from it. And so they just turn it off. But if you come right in and say, this is who you are, and this is what you're wanting to achieve, we're going to deliver it with these 3 things. Let's go. Now you can have all the banter you want. You can talk about your weekend. You can talk about the weather if you want, but it's only because you've already grabbed their attention. You have to hook them before you tell them anything else. So that's going to be the process, the first thing on both podcasts. Here's a hook for Jesse's other podcast. Man, my wife and I had a crazy fight this week, and there's a couple of takeaways that we brought out that I think are really going to help you. In this episode, we're going to give you those takeaways, and we might even get a little vulnerable about our fight. Let's dive in. Well, I want to know what's up. You've hooked my interest. You've piqued me. I'm like wondering what was up because you're showing me that you're human. You're showing me that I can relate to you. You're inciting some curiosity in my mind. Like, what's this fight about? What are the 3 things that I'm going to learn? And I'm going to stick around. I'm going to listen to that episode because I want to get that value. Write down also WIIFM, everybody's favorite radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? Don't talk about something if it's not relevant to them. Sure, if you want, you can give a little bit of banter. How was your weekend? What are you up to? If that's important to you. I think you'll do a little bit better for your listener if you relate everything to them and not just have them feel like they're a fly on the wall, but have them understand, why are we even talking about this? It's just going to make it a little bit more compelling for them to stay around.
Cool. I like it.
So share this episode with more incredible people.
Compliments and accepting those things. So
yeah, you guys are
quiet.
Amazing people.
Pretty quiet, pretty chill. The energy is pretty chill. Don't let it be a 3, 4, or 5. It has to be a 6. And for you, just make it a 6 because maybe your natural is 4. But you want to be able to keep your audience thinking that it's important. So just go to 6. Don't go to 7. Don't go to 8. Just 6 is fine. As long as it's above average, you'll be fine.
yeah, we feel like we're attracting incredible people and want to keep the ball rolling. So
Yep. So share this episode with more incredible people so we can continue to attract a awesome community. And, if you haven't yet, leave us a 5-star review, follow our episodes because
Random thing, Jesse, don't ask for 5-star anymore.
Okay.
Just ask for honest. There's
Okay.
some weird thing that happens with people where they would have given you a review already, and at 99% chance is going to be a 5-star. When you say give us a 5-star, it can't be their choice anymore to give 5. And so then they are less motivated to actually give any rating or review because it feels like you're the one trying to talk them into giving the 5-star. So just ask for an honest review. Just ask for honest. Just say, hey, I don't care if you like it, you don't. Let us know what you think. Leave an honest review. It does not have to be a 5-star. Just leave a review on anything that you think, anything that we need to change, anything that you're liking. And by the way, now you're going to get more people to rate and review. And almost all of them are going to give 5 stars anyways. So it'll help you a lot better to say it that way.
we're coming with more heat.
yeah. Peace out, Mogul.
Don't say we're coming with more heat if I can't feel you say we're coming with more heat. It's like a basketball game, the Jazz game. and you got that bear. He doesn't passively walk around and just be like, hey guys, everybody get excited. We're going to come with some heat. He's like this on top of a ladder. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you're coming with more heat, it's incongruent to hear you say it this way.
Mogul mentality.
See you guys later.
Random thing, another time you say, see you guys later. I just want you to have one listener because you don't have a group of people listening in one place. 99% of the time, it's one person. So just say, instead of you guys, say, see you later. Just see you later. It's one person. You're speaking to one listener who's listening by themselves, and they don't need to know about any of your other listeners. They don't want you cheating on them. You want to have an intimate personal relationship with the one person who's got earbuds on, who is cooking or cleaning or running or driving or whatever. You need to have an intimate relationship with that person. And so it's just you. It's not you guys. It's not you people. It's not our audience. It's the listener or you. Cool. The length of the episodes are great. Let's just talk about a little bit about like our service and see how we can. Oh no, this is a coaching call. I was thinking for a second it was a discovery call, and I was going to share with you like what we can do. But yeah, just ask any questions that you want, guys.
Well, I guess I appreciate the feedback and the input. I think this already will help us a bunch. And yeah, I think just like anything, there's a learning curve to it. And so I appreciate that. And I think, on my honest opinion, I feel like Jesse probably brings more energy than I do. So me starting this episode probably made it more boring because, again, he was probably matching and mirroring my energy. So I 100% need to pick up my energy level when in all of them. And then especially if I'm starting out. So that makes sense.
Something I have done dozens of times is I've slapped myself in the face before I've gotten started. I've like hit myself as hard as I can, or as hard as I thought I could stand anyway. And possibly I could hit myself harder, but I literally just like, I'll do it. And then I'll just like wake up and just another level of the energy. I don't want it over the top. I don't want it to be obviously not authentic. I don't want it to sound like you're trying too hard. That's not how far I want you to go. I just want you to go where it shows that you give a crap about like what you are going to record today.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
what questions do you guys have?
I think mine comes more on the marketing aspect as far as getting this thing out there. I'm under the impression that you can't tell people enough that you have a podcast, but I also, like, if I have someone that's consistently pushing the same agenda over and over and over, I'm like unfollowing them because I'm tired of looking at the same thing. So curious your take on the marketing aspect of it and how to grow an audience quicker.
Okay, couple things. The best marketers, let's just use Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk. Who else? Name one other person. Ty Lopez.
Yeah.
I was going to say LeVar Ball.
The best marketers, you will know one thing about them is they don't hide because they don't want to offend somebody. Each of them posts probably 20 stories a day. Each of them probably publishes 4 YouTube videos a day. Each of them probably speaks on at least one in-person stage per week. Each of them probably speaks on, and this means like being interviewed on a podcast or whatever, on 3 to 6 other people's virtual stages every single week. And if you ever get on, who's the guy who runs ClickFunnels? Russell Brunson?
Russell Brunson, yeah.
Yep.
If you ever get on Russell Brunson's email list or any of the ones that we already mentioned, it's crazy. You will probably unsubscribe at some point.
You get 4 emails a day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I'm hoping that you're getting from this is that you shouldn't really be afraid to let people know what's going on. And if they are going to unfollow you, they're not your follower. They're not your right person.
Kick them off the fence.
Right.
It's okay. It's okay to do that. Go ahead, Jesse.
No, absolutely. I was going to say, for what you just mentioned, a lot of the stuff that they do, I'm already doing myself personally through other stuff, like 3 to 4 YouTube videos a week. I've got interviews on podcasts. You mentioned some of those guys, and some of those guys I follow very closely. In some cases, been on coaching calls with them. And I think that's obviously makes the most sense. Just wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah. Well, when I first started my started to try to grow my real estate business with a meetup group and podcast, I really pushed the meetup, the podcast on social. I called people, I text people, one of the times that I met Devin in Utah, one of the times I scheduled additional meetings. I schedule lunches, dinners. I pay for the dinner. I don't know if Devin was there for that, but I generally...
But I did do the lunch afterwards one time. It was fun.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. It's a page out of Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule. You're doing everything you can, as much as you can, as focused as you can, as many different audiences as you can, in as many different ways, saying it in different ways, and in different places. And I resonate with that. If your goal is to grow your brand or your podcast or your company, you really want to push, you really want to be out in front of people. Now, I also want to take that with a grain of salt and go back to Gary Vee for a moment and just talk about one of his books, Jab, Jab, Right Hook, and just play this into your marketing strategy. Everybody seems to like Gary Vee. Now, not everybody likes Grant. Okay, Grant's arrogant and cocky. He doesn't really cuss. And then you got Gary Vee, who seems to be real humble, approachable, genuine. He cusses like a sailor, but he's got all those other things. And it seems like most of the people just love Gary Vee. They love following him. They love reciting the things that Gary Vee has said. Jab, jab, right hook, for example. We love talking a little bit about the advice where he says, you got to be active on social. You've got to do this. You've got to do this. And then we use his stories sometimes to help somebody get a concept, because we go back to the stories we've heard from him. Jab, jab, right hook basically just means stay in front of your people, add value to them, most of the time, not in a way that is asking them to buy, but in a way that's like, hey, this could help you. I put this together for you, just in a helpful way. That's what Gary Vee's doing all the time on LinkedIn, on Instagram. It's like nuggets, golden nuggets, over and over and over. That's what most of his stories are, is just repeatedly just nuggets that are coming out of his mouth. So anyway, I would go crazy. I would go 10X rule, and I would also go jab, jab, right hook, where you're always in front of them. And it's just different ways that you can market. One thing that we do for all of our clients is anytime there's an episode, we create 4 different promo assets. And the promo assets will be like an audiogram or videogram. It'll be a quote card. It'll be promo image, and it'll be a thumbnail. The thumbnail is like a good YouTube one that's really tries to grab the attention. And then we also send it to the guests so that they can share it. We will post it automatically in 3 places. And we just try to use hook, story, author formula with the copy. When we're creating the script for what's behind it, we try to grab attention, tell them what we want to tell them, and ask them to do something. Now, what that asking them to do something could be is with Gary Vee, sometimes it's go and try this. That's the call to action. Go and practice this. Go and role play this with your spouse or business partner. Go and buy your first rental. Go and start talking to brokers. Whatever. There is a thing that they can do that could be for them. That doesn't always mean that they're going to hire you from that call to action. But Gary Vee's doing it. Hook, story, offer. That's exactly what he does. And the offer could be anything. The offer could be any simple thing that really makes it likely that your perfect avatar, and remember, you know your avatar really, really well, everything that they're worried about, everything that's holding them back, that your perfect avatar needs in order to take a next step toward their success, whatever that is. So I would definitely do it. I would definitely push it out. And I wouldn't worry about offending somebody. Now, if you're thinking that your mom or your best friend is going to be like, Jesse's doing this. Maybe your best friend doesn't care about what you have to offer because they're just not your avatar for that. And that's okay. You don't get a following by tiptoeing around your best friend.
Makes sense.
Awesome. So then what part your services go? It sounds like do the editing of the podcast, you post it online as well, and then you do the graphics, or like, are you producing the entire show, or how does that work?
For us, it's you push record and then we handle everything else. So we'll download it from the cloud. We'll edit it. We'll write your show notes. We'll title it. We'll create artwork. We'll email your guest for you. We'll publish on your social up to 3 places and or your website. I already said write the show notes.
Yeah.
Publish it everywhere.
Yeah,
Promote it.
What's your take right now with the guy we started with? He just basically, his advice was just to have Jesse and I be the hosts and not have any guests. I'm guessing eventually that'll change and maybe we'll start to bring people on. I don't know if that's every episode or occasionally, but I guess just curious what your take is on something like that. Because I know in the past, you've had a lot of guests, like every episode from the ones I've listened to.
For the podcast that I sold, I was doing 4 or 5, I think 4 interview episodes and 1 solo episode every week. So every week we would normally publish 5 episodes a week, and 1 episode would be just me. Joe Fairless, very popular podcast, very well-recognized person. He would have 4 episodes with a brand new person who had never been on his show. And then on Follow Along Friday, he and Theo would have an episode where it was just the 2 of them. They would talk about their business, what's going on in their business, what they're worried about. If their wife is pregnant or if they just got engaged, they'll talk about that kind of stuff. Follow Along Friday. And then on Saturday and Sunday, I don't remember which one was Situation Saturday or something Sunday. These are one of those 4 guests that had already been on the podcast on Monday through Thursday in the past. Sometimes it would be months or years later after they had been visited. And then they talk a little bit about a situation that they went through. And then he will call back an episode he'll be like, oh yeah, this is Devin Hubbard. And he was on our podcast back in episode 2000. It was an episode where we really got into his best advice ever. Today, we're going to talk about a situation that happened with one of his apartment buildings and how he almost lost $500,000. Let's dive in. And so then now I'm going to listen to a different episode where you're on, but he's also calling back to the other episode, which is going to, in many cases, get your listener to listen to 2 different episodes because they want to hear it. And it also gives Devin an opportunity to come back on the show, and Devin another opportunity to be excited that he's on Joe Fairless's podcast again, and he's more likely to promote it. So just going back to this formula of having some solo and some group, some interview, the benefit of having the solo or co-hosted is that you 2 are the expert. It's you who's giving the value. It's you who the listeners relating to and resonating with and wanting to hire or wanting to partner with. If you miss out on that, if Joe Fairless never had Follow Along Friday and only did interviews, it might be hard for people to want to put their money with him. But because they know him and understand him, it helps them to know, like, trust. And now he's raising hundreds of millions of dollars. I think he owns like $2 billion in assets. So he's probably raised like $300 million with him and his partners. Shit ton of money. That's a lot of money. And I don't think he could do it if he wasn't doing the solo. So the guy who you're working with, and he's giving you advice of that the solos can be a benefit. I think that there's some real wisdom in there. And it is because you guys want to have a coaching program. It's because you guys want to have people investing with you in and partnering with you, and you being able to take equity in their deals. How are they going to do that if they don't know who you are? They got to know who you are. So that's important. And Joe Fairless doesn't make all of his episodes that. He makes 1 out of 7 that. I made 1 out of 5, and now I make every other. Every other is a solo. Every other is an interview. What do you get as a benefit from an interview episode? The main thing is, if you have an interview with a guest, they might likely share the episode with their followers. Joe was able to grow massively because he did 7 episodes a week. And I was speaking on his stage. At this second that I'm sharing with you a story, I was backstage about to go on, and I had to follow Joe. I had to be the one right after Joe Fairless. And so, because I was about to go on, I was nervous. I was nervous to follow him. And so I was paying attention to him and trying to distract myself so I wasn't having all those pit sweats and all this kind of stuff. And he's at the Q&A time. And during Q&A, a woman asks Joe Fairless, who does 7 episodes a week, Joe, if you started all over again, would you still do a daily podcast? And Joe's response was, no, I wouldn't do a once a day podcast. If I started all over, I would do a twice a day podcast. He would literally double his work and effort. But why? Why would he go to 14 a week? Then what he said to this woman is, it gives you that many more opportunities to be shared. It gives you that many more people who would share. It gives you that many more takeaways that can be talked about. And furthermore, Joe Fairless wasn't famous before his podcast. He was nothing. I'm not trying to offend him. I was too. Nobody knew me. Nobody knew what I stood for. And Joe's become a very remarkable staple of a name in our industry. And he's probably getting it in large part because he has 6 conversations a week. Yeah. He's talking to that many new people. And in my podcast, a lot of the people, and maybe even you too, both of you, possibly, at the end of this recording together, you may decide that you want to check out my podcast. And so you'll subscribe and download and listen to a couple of episodes. And you might even rate and review, and you might keep coming back. And now I've got 2 brand new listeners. And maybe you've never listened to an episode of mine, Devin and Jesse. Maybe you've never heard the podcast on podcasting. In fact, I cried earlier today when you both said, wait, what's the name of your podcast? And then did you see how I was choking up? Because it hurt my feelings. So because of this conversation that we're having as part of our podcast, you might listen. You might check it out. You might wonder, hey, Adam gave me some real good feedback today. Adam poured into me. Adam had some thoughts on my music. on my intro, on what's in it for me, on marketing, on jab, jab, right hook, on 10X rule. Adam had all these cool things that are helping me as a podcaster grow. Could I get more value if I just checked out his podcast? Let me check 1 or 2 out. You might get hooked and I get all those downloads and all that value. But that wouldn't happen if you weren't currently being recorded for my podcast right now.
Yeah.
You might never know what my podcast name was at all, but I've got the exposure through what we're doing.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. I like it.
Any final question? We've got like 2 minutes.
I would just say, I guess, is there something that you can email over to us on like all this stuff that all the different services you can offer? And Jesse and I will actually be together tomorrow and we can chat.
Yeah, of course. Yep. I will. Basically, I want you to go to our website, growyourshow.com, but I'll still just email you the website.
Cool.
And tell you a little bit about it. So no problem. Okay. We'll get it done. All right. Thanks, man. Good to meet you both.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
If you're glad that you checked out the podcast today, if you got some value out of this episode, some actionable takeaways, I invite you to do one of 3 things. A, you could do a written review on Apple. Let us know what you think. Just an honest written review. B, you could share the podcast with a friend of yours who needs it. Or C, at the very least, implement what you've learned to take your business and your podcast to the next level. And I'll see you on the next episode.